I want to welcome everyone here at the chapel as well as everyone that's viewing the service online for Mrs. Barbara K. Feig. Just a few brief announcements before the family enters the chapel. Rabbi Dror Chankin Gold and Cantor Elizabeth Berkey, both from Anshemet Synagogue in Chicago, will be officiating this afternoon. The interment will take place following the service here at Shalom Memorial Park, which is located in Arlington Heights, and our procession will form in the parking lot, and we will make sure that you receive a magnetic flag for the top of your car, as well as an orange funeral sticker to go inside your windshield. And please use your bright headlights as well as your emergency flashers at all times during the procession, and please be careful during the intersections. Try to stay as close as possible to the car in front of you to avoid accidents. Large gaps will cause accidents. Following the interment, the family will be coming back here for Shiva. It says between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., but any of you that are going to the cemetery for the interment are certainly welcome back because it will be before 4 o'clock for sure. The following individuals have been selected to serve as pallbearers. At the conclusion of the service, I'll ask these gentlemen to please step forward. Jerry McDaniel, Chance O., Stephen Dinelli, Mike Dinelli, Bill Saputo, and Jonathan Ibach. At this time, I'm going to ask everyone to please rise, and we'll bring the family into the sanctuary, the chapel.
We'll begin with Psalm 23.
Adonai roi lo echsar binot dasher yarbitzeni al mei menuchot yenaleini nafshi yeshovev Yancheni b'magle tzedek, Yancheni b'magle tzedek, leman shemo. Gam ki elech begitz al mavet, lo hirara ki ata imadi. Shivtecha u'mishontecha imay enachamuni. Taroch lefanai, shulchan neged tzorai. Dishanta v'Hashem el roshi, kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yedefuni, ko yemei chayai, v'shavti b'beit Adonai, leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar Adonai roi lo achzan.
You can find the words of the 23rd Psalm on the inside of your pamphlet. Please join me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We've come together today to honor and remember Barbara Feig. We do so in a Jewish funeral, which is called a levaya. It's an escorting. We're escorting Barbara. We're walking with her. Barbara took an awful lot of journeys in her life, many adventures. This is the final adventure, and she doesn't take it alone. Barbara wanted to make sure, in fact, that even these last days in the Jewish tradition, after one dies, there's a shomer, there's someone who sits by your side and makes sure that you're not alone. And she wanted to not be alone right now. And so in that vein, we are her shomrim now, her guards, her escorts, to see that in this last moments, she is with those she loved, those she built up, and those she drew close to. Barbara Feig led a life of passion, adventure, and relentless optimism, unmatched by any other. Barbara was treasured by her many dear friends. Barbara's friends remember how she never missed the chance to send birthday, anniversary, or Hanukkah cards, how she always had a smile on her face, how she was exceptionally kind, an incredible hostess, and wickedly funny. She is so missed. Barbara is acutely missed by her family. We extend our condolences, especially to Barbara's two daughters, Liz and Patty, who would each describe their mother, particularly in her later years, as a precious friend. We also must acknowledge the tremendous loss for Barbara's son-in-law, Jerry McDaniel, and for her beloved grandson, Chance Eli U. Chance, your grandmother adored you. She always talked about you and wanted to talk to you, to know everything you were up to, and she was endlessly proud of you. Barbara was the daughter of Sally and Peter Krane, and the stepdaughter of Lou Fink and Verna Krane. We think of her parents today. Barbara, even on her deathbed, called out for her beloved sister, Bunny Cohn. Bunny, in so many ways, was Barbara's person. Though Bunny and her husband Mo have passed on, we know that their love and their light peppered Barbara's life with joy and with warmth. After Bunny's death many years ago, Barbara took on her role as matriarch of the Cohn family with gusto and verve. She attended holidays and birthdays, took exceptional joy in the birth and growth of her great-nephews and nieces, and was cared for deeply by her extended family. Barbara is desperately missed by her nieces and their families. We extend our condolences to Karen Donnelly and her husband Mike, to Nancy Saputo and her husband Bill, and to Rich Alvarado, who remembers his wife Audrey, along with Aunt Barbara today. Barbara also adored her great nieces and nephews and their families, Sally Alvarado and Jonathan Eibach, Stephen and Heike Donnelly and their son Enzo, Taylor and Bobby Schultze and their children Levi and Zach. She loved all of you so much. Barbara is also remembered today by her former husband and his wife, Jerome Feig, and Mona Stolman Feig, by her precious caretaker, Janie Guros, who went out of her way to buy Diet Cokes and cared for Barbara like a family member would for 26 years. And she is remembered by her longtime friend and companion, Phil Kupritz. Our hearts go out to all of you. Barbara Feig was born in Mitchell, South Dakota in 1937. She had a modest upbringing. Barbara's family moved to Chicago when she was very young. As a girl, Barbara loved going to luncheons with her sister Bunny and her mother Sally. Barbara adored her childhood poodle, Shay Bonbon, who she lovingly called Shani. Barbara went to Sullivan High School here in Chicago, where she was captain of the cheerleading team. She went on to college, where she was very proud to have been a member of a sorority. Even at an early age, Barbara had a taste for adventure. She loved skiing. Barbara was a self-proclaimed ski bunny, and she met Jerome in that context, ski king and queen. Barbara began her work as a substitute teacher, which she continued through most of her adult life. As it so happens, she was actually an early elementary school teacher for her future nephew-in-law, Mike Donnelly, when he was only a small boy. In 1968, Barbara and Jerome adopted their daughter, Patty, and in 1971, they adopted Liz. As a type 1 diabetic, Patty recalls the care that was needed to navigate this reality even from a young age. Barbara was a busy woman, always on the go. She was a world traveler, a socialite, and known by so many as the hostess with the mostest. Barbara continually invested in her passions and in her friendships. Barbara's niece, Karen, remembers how she and her sisters would so look forward to meals and gatherings with Aunt Barbara. She remembers how special those visits were and how Aunt Barbara would offer all kinds of games to play and treats to sample. I can say from my own experience, I got to witness Barbara's tireless grace as a host. Even on her deathbed, she offered me pop and cookies. As a fellow lover of Diet Coke, I appreciate her hospitality. Barbara was, above all, an adventurer. She was ready to tackle any and all obstacles. For her, nothing was impossible. She was, as Liz says, intensely positive. And as Patty says, she never let life get her down. Not 4 rounds of cancer. Nothing. When I was speaking with Barbara's family and hearing the stories of her life from Liz and Patty and Karen, my mind and heart kept thinking and being drawn to an unsung hero in the Torah, Caleb. Caleb was much like Barbara. In the Torah, we read that after the Jewish people escaped slavery in Egypt, we wandered through the desert en route to the Promised Land. 12 individuals were selected to scout out the new land and report back to the community about what lay ahead. 10 of those leaders came back with pessimism. They reported that the land was full of giants, and that by comparison, they felt like grasshoppers. They reported that the obstacles were too grand. They reported that the road ahead was impossible. Better to turn back or hide under a rock. But not Caleb and Joshua. Caleb, speaking for the two optimists, gave an honest report. The obstacles are large. The armies are larger. The road is hard. And we can do it, he said. Caleb had a can-do attitude that could not be shaken. He believed with everything in him that a positive outlook could make the impossible possible. His optimism was contagious, and he was right. And Barbara was just like that. Barbara believed in a life without limits. She thirsted always for the new and the uncharted. She chose adventure, and she chose positivity. What adventure didn't Barbara take? She was a scuba diver. She did Outward Bound, helping others discover their potential. She jumped out of airplanes multiple times. She explored caves. She was a rock climber. She scrubbed down the polar bear cage at the Lincoln Park Zoo. She dove into the tanks at the Shed Aquarium to feed the fish. And she took adventures that were less physical, but no less joyous or impactful. She wrote a cookbook geared in part towards children with diabetes. She created a board game for kids. She was a substitute teacher, including at the Bernard Zell Anchiamet Day School, and everyone knows that being a substitute teacher takes real guts. She played bridge with skill and fervor. She took her passions for the arts like the Chicago Symphony and the Goodman Theater very seriously. She was involved in IWA. She was a generous philanthropist, most especially to the Juvenile Diabetes Organization. For Barbara, there was no adventure too big or too small. No obstacle too grand. She stayed positive and knew that she could do anything she set her mind to. And perhaps the bravest thing Barbara did, the grandest adventure she took, was that she changed. In her 60s, Barbara grew close to her daughters in a way that was new and bold and brave. She was honest and she was loving. She healed wounds. Like Caleb, she looked not only out into the world, but deep into her own heart and said, I can do this. Nothing is impossible. It's not too late. How courageous is that? These last several decades have been ones of incredible connection and joy for both of Barbara's daughters, Patty and Liz. Patty says that in her later life, her mother became more than just a mother, but truly a best friend. Even when Patty moved to Colorado, they would talk every day. Liz says she didn't simply love Barbara because she was her mother. She loved her because she was kind and funny and giving. She enjoyed every minute with her. Both daughters are clear that they, like all of us, have so much to be grateful for and so much to learn from Barbara. Barbara Feig taught all of us to seize adventures while we can. Barbara Feig taught all of us to choose a positive outlook every day, especially when it's hard. Barbara Feig taught each of us that it is never too late, that we can be brave, and that we can be bold. Barbara Feig taught us to laugh, to choose kindness, to live with zeal, and to be a loyal friend. A famous Jewish saying says, "A wise person does not count her days, she makes each day count." Barbara Feig was wise. She made every day count. May her last adventure be one of peace and rest. Her memory is a blessing. Zichrona livracha. We're going to turn to say the memorial prayer. Please rise.
אלוה הסליחות, חנון ורחום, מלך אפיים, ברב חסד, המצא כפרת פשע, והקרבת ישע מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת רוחל בת אברהם, שהלכה לעולמה. אהנה בעל הרחמים, זכרה לה לטובה, כל זכויותיך וצדקותיך, בארצות החיים. הובטח לה שערי צדק ואורה, שערי חמלה וחנינה. בסתר כנפיך הסתיריה לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום המשכבה. ונאמר אמן.
God of mercy, you who are gracious and compassionate, patient and abundantly kind, grant infinite rest and your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Barbara Feig, Rachel bat Avraham, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that you remember all the worthy and righteous deeds she performed. May Barbara find peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace, and let us say Amen.
יושב בסדר יום בצל שדי עיתונו, אמר לאדוני מחזיר את תפילתי, אלוהי